Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to have your soul shine? It's time for the Girlfriend Hour. We're so happy to have you here, and we can't wait for you to meet our incredible guests. But first, please put your hands together for our wonderful host, the enigmatic Shar Moore.
Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Girlfriend Hour. We have an awesome lineup for you today, and as always, some inspiring guests that will leave you jumping out of your skin, wanting to create change, help others, and make an incredible impact on the world. Let's get straight into it and welcome our first powerful guest to the Girlfriend Hour couch today, the very special Cathy Sheppard. If you're in business, you're going to want to get out your notebook. Cathy Sheppard is an international speaker, trainer, coach, mentor, founder, and CEO of BSI People Skills. Cathy's work is all about helping individuals and businesses maximise performance and relationships. This is such a critical moment to be retaining and strengthening your business relationships. And I'm so excited that Cathy is joining us today to impart her wisdom. Let's give it up for Cathy Sheppard. Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
Oh, I'm really good, actually, and I'm really delighted to be here today. So it's great to see you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Pleasure. Now, Cathy, tell us a little bit about BSI People.
Yeah, sure. It's BSI People Skills, and I started it in 2013 because I had been working for quite a long time with people, and I could see a difference that it makes when you're working in a toxic work environment, and when you've got those Sunday scaries. You know what it is when you're not wanting to go to work on Monday morning because you hate your work, and the reason why you hate your work is because the people that you work with, it's just horrible to go there. You don't like your manager. You don't like the way you're being treated. And I've had people say things like, they feel sick before going to work, or, all of those sorts of things. Another reason to do it was because you get so excited when you get promoted to a management role or a leadership role. And then I would watch them die over time, if you like, lose confidence as they realize that managing people is so, so, so hard. And it's so different than their previous roles, and people get promoted because they were in the job the longest, or because they were really, really good at their previous role. But then they don't get any training and they have to learn on the job. The cost to people is huge. The cost to their wider families is massive. And what I realised was that I could make a difference, that the work that I had been doing with the organisations that I'd been involved with could make a difference for other businesses as well.
That's fantastic. Cathy, I can see that you love what you do. Tell us why you love it so much.
I love it so much because I know what a difference it makes for people. I've been part of a dysfunctional team, and that team, for the first 3 months of us working together, was really, really hard. I've been in that place of not wanting to go to the meetings because I knew that it was not going to be good. And then I know what it is like to actually turn that around. And after the first 3 months where it was a real nightmare working together, not because we were bad people, because we weren't, we were amazing people, but it was just the clash of personalities, right? And then when you actually start understanding yourself and each other, the next 3 years working together were some of the most amazing years of my life. And having experienced that change for myself, you never, ever want to go back, and you want it for other people as well.
It becomes addictive, doesn't it? Because you just see the results that you can get, and then you just want it for everyone. And what's the number one thing people get wrong in business, in building culture and developing people, Cathy?
I think the thing that is the number one mistake is that they expect that it will just happen, right? You need to be deliberate about building culture. You need to be deliberate about building the relationships and the things that are your core that make a business successful. Things like a vision, things like your core values that you can draw everybody into, that provide the reason for everybody to be involved. And when you've got those right, and then you've got your relationships right, and you've got your leadership that is inspiring and using people's strengths, then you've got the recipe for magic within your business.
I was just going to say, it sounds like the perfect recipe for the perfect meal when you put all of those ingredients together. That sounds fantastic. What cross-generational challenges have you witnessed in modern day business today?
Yeah, lots. I think it's a difference in expectations. Especially some of the older generations, if you like, the experiences that they had were just work hard and it will work. Right? Work hard. It takes time in order to be able to succeed. Whereas younger people don't necessarily want to stay in that job for years and years and years, and they don't want to have to wait until they get promoted or until they get that higher salary. They want to know that the energy that they're putting into the work that they're doing is recognised. They want to be able to grow. They want to have a purpose, and they're willing to move if they're not recognised. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, that work-life balance is very different too.
Yes, I can imagine so. And Cathy, everyone has a different definition of leadership. What do you think makes a great leader in business?
Yeah, somebody that knows themselves, knows the people that they're working with, and knows how to use their strengths rather than to be something that somebody else thinks that they should be. That if we can know who we are, know our strengths, know our challenges, be vulnerable around those, and look for ways to be able to draw your challenges from the people that you're working with, then you can be an amazing leader. The other thing is that a leader needs to be able to take people somewhere.
Yes.
So they need to know where they're heading and why that's inspiring.
Yes.
Like, is it inspiring or is it just do your work and get on with it, right?
Yes.
I'm paying you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not inspiring, right?
Yeah. If they're not taking someone somewhere, they're a staller. They're just standing there stalling. So, yeah, leaders have got to lead. I love that. And, every one of us have proud moments in business. There's something that we've done or achieved that makes us feel really proud. What's some of yours, Cathy?
Yeah. I think the things that make me most proud are the results that I see in the clients. When you work with a group of people who, at the beginning of your work with them, you don't actually know whether they're going to be a team at the end of it or not, because things are that dicey. And when you can leave at the end of a day and they're looking at each other with smiles on their faces and they're leaving with a totally different energy, that is awesome. Yeah. Something else that makes me feel very proud is I work with a team of people. This business is not just me, because I can only throw a few stones into the water, right? I've only got two hands. And for me, every person that I work with, every client that I work with is like spreading ripples, because they have people in their lives as well. And so when I see my staff members get excited about the difference that they've made and in their lives, in the lives of the people around them, and to see them grow as facilitators, as coaches, it makes me incredibly proud.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And I talk a lot about the same things around, pebbles in still ponds. A lot of the women we profile in our magazines and books, they are the pebbles. And I love that when you throw them out, they create the ripples to the rest of the world. Cathy, I can imagine that you've had a lot of supporters, apart from your team, of course. Who are some of your biggest supporters as we wrap up today?
I think it's my family, and also special mentors that have been on the way. I highly recommend that anybody in business has a business coach, because they are amazing at giving you an outside view of what you're doing and of supporting you to be able to grow your business to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. My husband, my children, my mother, they have been the most incredible supporters for me, and I thank them very, very much.
Oh, that's fantastic. Please give it up for Cathy, but don't go anywhere. Stay there. We're going to have you back in just a moment. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, who has heard of bioenergetics? Well, our next guest is all about helping us find the keys to unlock our healing and growth. The lovely Carol Aravena, founder of Diamond Light, joins us on the Girlfriend Hour couch to talk all things energy. Let's give a very energetic welcome to Carol Aravena. Hello.
Gorgeous, darling. How are you?
Don't you look divine?
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Doesn't she look divine? All these gorgeous colours. Wow, well done. Carol, bioenergetics is not something that we hear every day.
No.
Please tell us that don't know what it is.
Okay, so bioenergetics is, I guess, the science of assessing and measuring the communication and the flow of energy within living things. That's the official title of bioenergetics.
Okay.
So what I offer is I have a platform that measures the bioenergetics of your physiology, so the fields that run your physiology, and through my intuitive work I then address the rest of you, because we're quite complex characters, body, mind and spirit.
My husband says that to me all the time. I just thought he was joking.
So I basically treat the bioenergetics fields of body, mind and soul.
Wow.
And it's about finding the distortions within that flow of communication and within the flow of energy.
And
So
how did
it's
you
a little
get
bit out
started
there.
in this? Because it's not something that you sort of learn predominantly at
I know.
school,
I had to go and pick something that was so hard to sell. Well, I'm an intuitive healer and I have been for probably over 30 years, but it was always a bit of a side gig for me. And a few years ago, I realised that I really wasn't stepping up and living my passion and purpose. I love seeing the results in my clients, and I have just come across the perfect tools that lets me do that. Because we're very complex machines with lots of different programs. So, our mind is a bit of a really fancy computer with a lot of systems.
Yes.
A lot of programs.
They do need rebooting sometimes.
Yes, and basically my work is to find the corrupt files.
Okay.
I
might have a few of those.
We've all got them.
Delete.
Yeah. And basically find them, and corrupt files can be anything from a belief system picked up through childhood indoctrination. It could be past life. It could be passed on through your DNA. Great-great-granddad might have made a decision that became a code or a program, gets passed them down the line. It's endless. There are so many layers of things that we need to really to live, a beautiful, successful life. Amazing. And it's just self-sabotage. If whatever anyone calls self-sabotage, it's just a rogue program that needs to be, it's like a corrupt
virus in
it's
our
like
computer.
A corrupt file in your computer. Exactly that.
Carol, where do you start? Like, how do you first assess someone in working out what needs to get done? What are you looking for?
I don't look. Basically, when you get on my magic red couch, I connect into your source or your soul's essence, or your I am, your high self, whatever wording works for you, so that you are actually telling me what needs to be addressed that day.
Okay.
And then I intuitively connect into your field, and I go through the chakras, go through the different etheric fields. You have to think energy. Everything's energy. And if you can get your head around that, what I do is really easy. Like, it's a simple concept when you can grasp the fact that you're just a big moving machine of energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then basically that's what we clear in the moment. Whatever comes up, your soul will say, there's, something in the third chakra that relates to when you were 3. And I'll just say, righto, go back to when you were 3. And sure enough, people will go, oh, I'm getting a picture of a memory, but it's nothing really. Well, it was enough for that 3-year-old to create a belief that, if I do this, I'll get that. If you're in a house full of a lot of kids, I have to be noisy to be heard. So you grow up,
being noisy.
Yeah, or I have to be a good girl to be loved. Little things that make decisions made by a 3-year-old that when you become an adult are not going to really serve you real well.
Yes.
Yes. That's the sabotage.
So true. Yeah. That's so true. And colour therapy, I've heard a lot about colour therapy, as I'm sure many of you have as well. What is colour therapy all about, and how does it work? Again,
everything's energy. Colour is an energy, and it's a varying resonances or vibrations. Okay, so when you use colour, you're really just applying a different resonance at a different vibration to do a certain thing. Okay. So every colour has a particular healing property.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I'm wearing all colours today, I'm covered, like I'm sorted head to toe, I've got all the energy.
I don't think you need too much done. You look quite perfect and beautiful. It's more about applying the colour. Yes, wearing the colour helps,
yes.
But it's more about using your intent to apply that colour to, so basically you're given instruction. So, you know, if you were to use violet light's a very purifying, cleansing vibration. So if you want to cleanse your house really quickly, imagine violet light flowing through it or a violet flame. Things like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So they all have their purpose.
Yes.
And I use the energetics of the colour.
Yes.
Rather than actually draping you. I mean, I used to have actually silk
Drapes.
to use, but
Yes.
it's become insignificant now.
Yes.
Now it's just like, let's just blast this person with,
with a lot of light.
So that ties in with the chakra work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we talk a lot on this show about intuition, and a lot of people we all have intuition.
Absolutely.
But it's what level we trust it. So tell us about how people can tap into it. If you're listening at home, you sure would have had those little voices that pop up sometimes around do this, don't do that, don't pull out, right? And you're in the traffic and you're not quite sure why, and then a car will whiz past. How do we learn to truly trust this?
Generally, it comes with a feeling. You know, if it's just voices or words in your head, a lot of time it's your logic. Intuition, it comes with a sensation.
Okay.
That's the secret. So, you know, you might get a flutter in your belly or a sensation in your heart. Some people get prickly, you know. If I have I hair stand on end, you know, everyone has. So it's learning to connect into that.
Yes.
And learning to trust it. But it's very hard to trust your intuition when you've got programs in place saying that I am not worthy or, you know, what do you know, or you're not good enough or, you know, don't step into your power because it's bad. So, you know, you would need to clear a few of those stories.
So
and
that you can fully experience
and it's just a muscle. The more you use it, obviously, you know, and practice. I mean, you know, practice guessing who's on the phone. Practice, you know.
So take your intuition to the gym, everyone at home, okay? Join a gym that practices intuition. I love it. And Carol, as we wrap up today, what's been one of your proudest moments in your life or your business?
I had a recent proud moment, but I'm going to tell you one that was actually like a turning point for me. I had a client come to me about 20 years ago. It was one of my earlier clients. And she came to me with a few sort of medical issues, and like most of my clients, she'd come to me because she'd been to all the doctors and all the specialists, and I'm the last call, last resort.
Yes.
And nothing else is working. I'll go and see this witch doctor lady. And she actually, during the healing, I said to her, you know that you've got a prolapsed uterus? She said, oh, yes, I'm seeing a specialist about that, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was still sort of quite young in my you know, intuition. And I said, oh, do you mind if I try something? Oh, okay. So I did a bit of psychic surgery, okay? Again,
psychic surgery, there's a term we don't hear
still
every day.
Energy, you have to hold that concept.
Yes.
Anyway, did a bit of surgery on her, and I said, well, I'll, you know, see how that goes. And about 2 weeks later, she rang me and she goes, I've got a story for you.
Oh.
She went to see her gynecologist, and he's come out all perplexed and gone, I don't know how to explain this, but your uterus is no longer prolapsed. And I said, what? Because, like, I was even blown away by, you know.
Well, the stuff works.
That's exactly right. And she said, you should have seen the look on his face, because apparently he was a bit of quite a straight, black and white, chauvinistic, not very nice kind of guy.
Yes.
And she's gone quite proudly, I'll tell you exactly how that happened. Wow. Took great pleasure in watching his face. Like,
I love it.
And so that was for me a turning point in, like, yes, this is for real. I really am, got something. So that sort of encouraged me. But recently I had a lady come to me for a couple of healings and got great success with that. And she said, I'm going to bring my son, my husband and my two children, my two sons, teenage boys. And I'm like, okay, well, that'll be fun. Anyway, did the husband, did the younger son, then did the older son. And I checked in with them a few weeks ago because they were travelling. Mm-hmm. And I said, I just want to see how you're all going after all your sessions. And she said, Carol, my oldest teenage boy, who's 13, 14, has been
lovely age,
has been meaning to email you. And I'm not saying this to brag, but this blew me out. He said he's been meaning to email you because that session with you, he reckons has been life-changing.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why, though, because he was quite a withdrawn, emotionally and communicative boy. That's why she wanted him to see me. And had OCD with washing his hands to the point where it was becoming quite an issue. So we figured out what that was from. And just to give you an idea of how deep stuff can go with the wounding you carry, it turns out what I found was he'd had a lifetime, many lifetimes ago, where he had actually been responsible for someone's death.
Oh, so he's washing
Guilt.
it off his hands.
He was trying to wash the guilt and the blood off his hands. And because we brought that up, and, you know, like I said, rogue file, delete, upgrade the system, his words. And I was like, that's from a 14-year-old boy.
Gee.
You know, so if I can do that for a 14-year-old,
Oh, absolutely.
it was like so inspiring.
Everyone in the world needs you.
Oh,
Fantastic.
That was
Let's
so
give it up for Carol Aravena. Wow, amazing.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, I think it's time we have a D&M. Let's head over to my D&M table. It's D&M time. Let's get into some juicy topics, and welcome back to the floor, Cathy and Carol. For today's topic, I want to discuss taming the inner critic. That little voice that can sit on our shoulder and can sometimes be very, very loud. Carol, how do you tame that voice?
I probably don't tame it, but I listen to it as if it was a child. Because generally it's that part of you. So treat it with love and compassion and pay attention. You know, what's it really want?
Okay.
Yeah, a bit of self-love.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not shutting it out completely, but listening to what it has to say.
Yeah, it's got something to tell you, and it's an aspect of you that is going, hey, what about me? So, you know, listen to it. And is it even yours?
Good
or was
point.
it something that was indoctrinated growing up, you know? When you hear that critic, who do you think of?
Yes. Could it be a grandfather or a someone that...
Someone. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about you, Cathy?
It's a really good question. I think for me, it's part of that was identifying those ones that keep coming back. And then for me, I've identified two key ones and then changed those thoughts. So I'm able to recognize when they come up and then change them. And so, for example, one of them is I can't do it. And I've changed that. So the minute I start thinking about I can't do it, it's like I can do it. There's got to be a way. And I know that there is a way. And it's like being able to say I can do it. There's got to be a way. Releases that creativity for the way to be able to be clear. And it also gives that motivation to be able to just start. The other one that I've changed because it came up so much in my head as I was talking was I haven't got enough time. And quite a few years ago, I was working with a woman called Penny Brownlee, and she also had that soundtrack in her head. And what she said was you can change it into, I have all the time I need to do the things I have to do with ease. And with those two statements together, I have got enough time, I can do it, there's got to be a way, and I have all the time I need to do the things I have to do with ease. It's solved most of the problems of this little voice in my head.
That's a great one, actually. And I remember Oprah saying many years ago that, you know, she had a mantra that said, you know, the universe conspires in my favour every day. And I thought, wow, that is so cool. Like the whole universe got up today just to conspire in my favour. Like everyone else stay in bed because it's here for me. But if we all use that, you know, that could
so
work.
Powerful.
And Carol, how do you bounce back from setbacks? Because let's face it, we all have them. So what's one of the strategies that you use that you could share with everyone today?
So every setback is really an opportunity to learn and grow. So, you know, if something didn't go according to plan, regroup, have a look and go, how can I learn from this? You know, everything's a learning experience. There are no mistakes and there's no wrong or right. That's just our judgment.
Yes.
You know, so learning to live in that state of mind that all is as it should be.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm safe.
Yes.
And everything's okay, and tomorrow's another day.
Yes. Yeah. Reset, start again at midnight and go again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's great. And Cathy, what about you?
For me, it is those things as well. And I can do it. There's got to be a way. but also coming back to that purpose. If you know what you're on this world to do, on this planet to do, then if you find the thing you can't not do, then when things get tough, you can just go back to that and go, okay, this is what I'm here for. What does it look like? What's the next step in enabling me to do this every single day? So for me, I get up every morning in order to empower people, leaders and teams so that every single person that I work with can make a greater positive impact in their world. And there's lots of things that I've tried, but I keep coming back to that. And when I'm focusing on that, it gives me the energy, it gives me the reason for being to stand up, get up and carry on. There's one other thing that has been incredibly useful, and that was a few years ago. A gorgeous woman said to a group of us, she said, how many of you have a bad day? And I think every single one of us put up our hands to say we've got a bad day. And she said, well, the next time you're having a bad day, ask yourself how long you need for your bad day.
Oh.
Do you need the whole day? Do you need half a day?
Ah.
Do you need a couple of minutes? Do you need a couple of hours? Right? Sometimes only 20 minutes will do. And it's an incredibly powerful way of giving yourself the time to just go, everything's going to garbage, right? But then to be able to pick yourself up, you don't have to take the whole day.
Yes.
Sometimes you need it, especially if it's something massive that's happened in your life. But a lot of the time, a half day, 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Actually, it leads me to my next point around, the self-pity parties that we can have. And self-pity parties, sometimes they're okay to have, and it is a party for one often. And it's okay to just be in that moment. And you said that earlier. It's about allowing those emotions and feelings to come out and not suppress them and ask where they're coming from. And, Cathy, I love what you said as well, because someone once said to me that, they meet people that say, oh, so-and-so put me in a bad mood. There isn't a bad mood corner that someone picked you up and put you there and said, stay, right? We choose to stay there. And like you said, Cathy, you could stay there for the day if you want to. But when you ask people that are unwell, if they could ask for one more thing, they ask for time. So don't spend all day there. Move out of bad mood corner. Yeah, Cathy.
The other thing about that is that if we say, so-and-so has made me feel like that, who are we giving control of our emotions to?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Actually, something happened. I feel angry. Something happened. I feel really, really frustrated. It's not that person. If we say to them, they made me do that, then it's almost like we're expecting them to do something to help us put ourselves back together again. And life's too short. We can't wait for that, right?
Yes.
We need to take responsibility for our own emotions and our own way of feeling. And by acknowledging those emotions and accepting them and knowing what they feel like in our bodies, we then give ourselves permission to be able to move through them. We don't have to let them define us. And our emotions can be incredibly powerful tools in our lives to help us find our pathway, to help give us energy, to help us build relationships with other people and experience this incredible joy. And so it's really important that we take control of our own emotions rather than giving our control to other people.
Another tactic.
Yeah, Carol, please share.
So another tactic
Thanks, Cathy.
is to detach from the emotion itself, because when you're in the pool of muck, it's very hard to discern.
Yes.
So what you do is you take yourself out of that and step into that higher version of yourself and look down and actually get a different view, and then it's not so personal. So you can realise that, okay, this is what's really going on. It's not just me under attack.
Yes, that's a great point. And often we're all going through very, very similar things as well. And you're not the only one experiencing a certain type of emotion. But how do you get comfortable and make friends with all of our flaws and failures? How do you just say, this is me world? How do you get comfortable with that?
Again, it's that self-compassion, making peace with a body that may not be as perfect. For a long time I did have an issue with my body. But I've had 4 children.
Yes,
So it's like,
yes, exactly.
So I've gone from hating my body to now when I bathe my body, it's, you're such a good body, you serve me so well. You know, it's staying in that state of gratitude.
Yes.
And that state of faith that everything's as it should be.
Yes.
And
we only get one.
That's
we
right.
may as well love it.
Yeah, you choose a state.
We can't go
you're
in and get a new one.
That's right.
And Cathy, what do you think?
Yes, it's very similar. You know, we have our bodies, but we also have our minds. And I think that, Brene Brown talks about the little itty bitty shitty committee in our heads, which can really hinder us from accepting ourselves. We're always, I think, so much of it, again, because of our upbringings. We are taught that we're not good enough, that we need to work harder here, that we need to do more here, that we need to be more like this person. And we don't. We are created to be these amazing people that we are. We are created for a purpose, and there's no mistake about that. We can't do what other people's job is on this world, right? We're given the thoughts that we have, we're given the experiences that we have, we're given the feelings that we have, we're given the desires that we have for a reason, and nobody else can do our work for us. We have to do it, and we can make the difference that we are meant to make in the world. And actually, it doesn't matter what experiences we've had. We can take them learning from those things, no matter how bad that they were.
What a great, deep and meaningful we've had today. Give Cathy and Carol a huge thank you for being on our show today. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks, Cathy.
I'll leave you now.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. That's amazing. And now we're going to have some fun and pick some flowers from my flower garden. We have some fabulous, fabulous prizes from our wonderful sponsors. Let me tell you about them, and then hopefully our audience will start to get really excited about what they can win. So we have our grand prize in the middle here, and our wheel is sponsored by Be Styled for Life. And then all of these numbers here have some great prizes behind them. We have Be Styled for Lifestyle Session. We have Storm in a D Cup gift set, Women in Bloom gift pack, a pair of these cool Kicks shoes, gorgeous Lisa Pollock picnic basket and platter, and gorgeous gifts from Fashion Flaunt. So how are we going to run this one, Kel?
Well, I was speaking to a few of our amazing studio audience in the break, and we had a cancellation from one lady's husband because he's just had a triple bypass. Oh. So if you belong to that husband, would you please come forward?
Giving her a round of applause. Yay.
Sorry.
Come on.
He has a good excuse for not being here today.
I'll say. My gosh, what's your...
Hello. Come around here. Come around here. Tell us, please, what your name is.
Cheryl Murphy.
Hello, Cheryl. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Oh, your husband, is he okay?
Yes, he is. Oh. Thank goodness.
See, that's a major surgery.
It was a big shock.
Yes.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's a sportsman and, it just come on him and went to the doctor, and the doctor, he said, have you got any other issues? And he said, yeah, I've been getting a little murmur in my heart, and I was just wondering what it was. So they did an angiogram, then that one and whatever other ones they do.
Yeah,
and, and then the next minute, like nearly the next day, they rang up and said, you've got to come in now.
Oh, my gosh.
So...
It's so lucky that he trusted that little murmur and said something.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, my gosh.
For everybody in that.
Oh,
yeah. Listen to your
intuition
bodies.
in everyone, right? Listen to that little murmur and voice. Oh, my gosh. That's a pretty tough time.
Yeah.
So a gift from our garden would be quite nice for you today, wouldn't it?
Be lovely.
Who thinks that she should win the grand prize?
What's your favourite number? 11.
Oh,
ooh.
Lucky legs 11. All right, let's give it a spin and see where it lands. So you'd like 11? We're going to give it some good energy for 11. Let's go. Give it a big spin. Give it a spin. Yes, you. All right.
Come on, 11. Come on, 11. Come on, 11. That's a good spin.
That's a great spin.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Oh, where's the grand prize? Where's the grand prize? Oh, 11 went past.
Didn't it go to the grand prize?
Oh, did it go to the grand prize? Yes, the grand prize! Woo!
Landed on the grand prize all by itself.
Oh
The
my
energy
goodness.
today is really peaky. So you have won literally everything. So we will have to give this one at a time because you've won one of everything. Congratulations. My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll be back right after this.
It's never too late to become a cover girl. We're looking for incredible women to be profiled in our upcoming issue of Feminescence magazine. Share your story with an international audience, unlock new opportunities, inspire a new network of supporters. It's time to back yourself. We can't wait to hear about the magic that is you. Visit feminescence.com.au to find out more. Come on, what are you waiting for? Carpe diem, girlfriend.
I'm so excited and privileged to introduce you to this incredibly inspiring human, entrepreneur, business coach, mum, mentor, podcaster, blogger, and mental health clinician. What an all-round superstar. Let's bring her out onto the show. Please welcome Angela Henderson.
Hey, so excited. I'm so excited to see you.
Please have a seat. You look absolutely fabulous, by the way.
Well, thank you, as do you.
I love the colour and the earrings. You are on one mission. Tell us exactly what that mission is, and it's a big one.
It is a big one because as women, we're faced with so much diversity, and history has shown us that. So for me, my mission is to support an additional 2,500 women between now and 2025 to have the tools, community, and resources they need to grow sustainable and profitable businesses.
Why is this mission of helping so many women? Why are you so passionate about it? Where does this come from?
For me, it's about women getting more wealth into their hands, because if women get more wealth into their hands, they not only change their home life, they start to change the local community, and they start to make a global effect. And so it's not even just about, again, for them, it's about what can they do to sustain this kind of rhythm throughout history and start to break history up a little bit.
Wow. And that's so important, because if we don't change things now, we're just repeating generational cycles, aren't we? So it's really important, yeah.
I mean, generations, we have to look at what our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, et cetera, had to go through. And as women, we all have opportunity to make change if you choose to make change. And that's the big thing that I find so often, is that women make a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
They're happy to go back to the default effect of being poor me, my grandmother, and they just continue to live that. I believe that women have choice. And every day that when you wake up, you have a responsibility to take responsibility for yourself. And if you choose not to, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. So for me to be able to give women these tools, community, and resources, there really should be no more excuses.
That needs a round of applause. Whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. Angela Henderson on a T-shirt. I love that. That is brilliant. Now, your first business, Finley Me. How did you get started with that?
Well, I have a beautiful son named Finley who's in the audience today. And we were playing when he was about 9 months old. And I remember there's all these beautiful toys that we were given, but they were all electronic based. Which is fine. We have iPads too, so no judgment. But for me, I was like, as an ex-mental health clinician of 15 years, I thought surely there's got to be other ways. So I started locally looking at different resources for kids that would work on fine motor skill development, gross motor skill development, and spark imagination, but ultimately to create a connection with children between parent and child. And I started with 0 products. We ended up with 1,500 products when we finished Finley Me. And also through Finley Me, it was a really great opportunity because I had a platform. I was signed with companies like Netflix, Woolies, Kohl's, etc., in order to help get their messaging through my audience. So it all started with Finley playing games on the ground and trying to make things slightly different.
That is brilliant. Give her a round of applause. Oh my gosh, 1,500 products at the end. That's brilliant. There's a very controversial article on Mamma Mia around you outsourcing, and it stirred up a lot of comments. Please take us through that. And it wasn't really a nice experience, I'll be honest, but if you don't mind sharing, I think it might help some others stay true to their voice.
Yeah, I mean, women, again, as we say, there's so much responsibility that we have to take. There's also decision fatigue. And so one of the things that I've learned again, is whatever I'm not changing, I'm choosing. So for me, as I was like, well, if I'm overwhelmed in my home life, this is going to impact all areas of my life. So I then decided to get a gardener, a cleaner, and a house manager. So again, also I want to caveat is I don't drink, I don't smoke. So the money that I would allocate to other social recreational things is my budget that I put towards these services. Okay. And so for me, I was like, great. And so Mamma Mia had asked if they could do an article about this because they believe that women too should be able to inspire and ask for help, something that we don't typically see in our world. And so I did, and it went viral. There was tens of thousands of comments, not only in Australia, but globally, from people saying, you know, I was a deadbeat, my children would be deadbeats, I was worthless, why would I pay, where's your help from your husband, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I had a lot of people rallying for me, but again, it was 10% of the population was really advocating for it too, and the other 90% was really like, there was horrible comments, but those 10% of people that needed to hear the message were ready to receive the message. And if that means I made a difference, you know, 10 out of every 100 women are doing something different for their world, then I'm here for that change.
That's brilliant. And, you know, there's a really good point there to be made that I think if you're listening to this at home as well, just take note that a lot of us get up and try and change the world. Mm-hmm. And Angela's just made a really good point that, you know, if she can change 10%, it's still worth it, even though you suffered personally. There was a lot of personal attacks and comments on her family and you and the decisions you made, but you still felt, after all of that, being gaslit globally by people she didn't even know, keyboard warriors, you still feel that it was the right thing to do because you helped 10%. And that, I think, is a really important point.
100%, because again, how do we start to break down stigma? How do we start to make change? Because again, all of us have voices, but not everyone will use their voice. And so for me, I'm happy to use my voice, and I'm happy to take a little bit of that blunt end if I need to, if it means that there'll be a ripple effect positively for, you know, other women in generations to come.
Bravo, because not everyone would do that, knowing 90% of people are going to attack you. So well done. I love the topic on your most recent podcast, assessing what's expired in your life and making room for expansion. Please tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all go through different stages in our lives where things start to expire. My husband, who again is a dear friend of mine still, he lives 20 seconds from my front door. My kids go back and forth between houses. It's very amicable and very joyous, actually. But again, Dale and I had been together for 20 years and we had expired, but it didn't mean that we still don't love each other and that we're not there for our children. And so again, whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. I had to make some harder decisions, Dale and I had to, but everyone can make hard decisions and you can get through hard things. So really start looking at, have relationships expired in your life? Have whatever food addiction expired in your life? Has alcohol and drugs, you know, started to expire in life? Where have things in your life started to expire? And where do you need to kind of detox and get rid of that toxicity in your life in order to make room for further expansion?
There's some great points there. I think we all need to do a bit of an assessment when we get home. Now, you talk about, Angela, wealth buckets. A lot of people determine and link wealth to money, but you have a number of wealth buckets. Take us through what they are, please. And if you are at home, make sure you're jotting this down. Please send me the notes as well.
So for me is when I work with women in business to help them hit 4- and 5-figure months and on to 6- and 7-figure years, what a lot of women associate success with and wealth with is the revenue wealth. And that's only part of it. And I see a lot of times when women so fixated on the revenue wealth, so much beside them start to drop off. So when I talk about the wealth buckets, I talk about self-wealth, relationship wealth, spiritual wealth, mental wealth, physical wealth. They're going to vary depending on individual and, you know, personality and things like that. But again, by assessing where wealth is, I'll give you an example. I had a breast reconstruction surgery done in December. So my revenue for that month dropped, but my physical wealth increased substantially. I'm able to play more with my children. I can get out more. I've lost 25 pounds in the last 6 months because I'm able to move more. So again, my physical wealth went up, but also my mental wealth went up because I was in a better headspace, even though my revenue wealth bucket went down. So it's about looking at the different wealth buckets you have in your world and not forgetting about those, because I think often we focus on one and everything else falls by the wayside.
That's very true. And, they talk a lot about spinning plates, which I guess is another way of looking at it. And you were spinning your health plate and keeping that going. So the wealth bucket went down, or the wealth plate went down. And it's important. So what are some tips that you might be able to give women in business, particularly, because that's your strength, that might be struggling with filling the buckets up? Which one do they prioritise? As mums in business or dads in business, we are often having that mummy daddy guilt of spending maybe too much time with in our business and not enough with our children and so on. So how do you actually help your clients balance all of the buckets and make sure that it's not about them all being filled at the one time, but it's okay if one of them's down and it's making peace with that? So what are some strategies you can give people?
Again, I guess I'd start with the saying is that balance is, I'll say, BS.
Yes.
Because I think if you look at the true definition of balance, it's about equal distribution amongst X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And so when I started in business, I had to learn really early on that I had to replace that with being present. So for me is I don't believe in balance. And so like today, for example, my kids know that they are on iPads while I was getting ready and things like that, because my moment is to be present on this today. It doesn't mean I disregard them any less. It doesn't mean I love them any less, but I'm present.
Yes.
So the first thing that I would say to women, especially in moms that are trying to do everything, is make sure that you're looking at where can you be present in your life, because those moments are going to leave you very quickly, whether or not that's with friends, family, and yourself. So I replace that as what I would say is that, again, replace being present versus the balance.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd imagine apart from the Mamma Mia article, in your business and in many years that you've been in business and working with other clients, what would you say that some of your more difficult times were growing the business, helping other clients? What are some things you've faced that you might be able to share so that others out there, you might be facing this alone if you're watching, and hopefully by Angela sharing them, you might actually go, oh, I'm not alone, which is great. And that's the whole idea of the Girlfriend Hour, is that sisterhood of support. So there's some challenges you've been through that you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, I would say that is when you start to increase your revenue, what happens is you'll actually go through an enormous amount of loss and grief, because all of a sudden you will have continued on this trajectory of working on the inner work, working on yourself, doing different things, and not everyone is there on that same journey. So unfortunately, you will start to kind of, not all the time, but you will potentially lose friends, you will lose family members who no longer get it. I had some family members being like, what do you do? Do you sell drugs, right? Like, why do you make so much money? What are you doing? And it's like those comments I no longer would put up with, right? So it was like, okay, it doesn't mean that I love that person any less, but I've had to put boundaries in place because it was no longer something that I was willing to listen to on an ongoing basis. So one is understanding that there will be loss and grief with your success, because not everyone will follow that trajectory and where you're at. And knowing that it's not a bad thing, it just means that you're going to have space for new people to come into your world who will meet you on your calibration, your frequency, on where you're at. So I would say that being present versus being balanced. And another thing that I'd say is understanding that you can do hard things. And there's going to be times in business and in life in general where you're going to get a cash flow month will be out. You're going to have clients get diagnosed with cancer, right? And you're going to have to go through those motions, right, of supporting them through that. You're going to have things like COVID that comes into play. And you've got clients all around the world and trying to make sure that everyone is, okay and that they're, surviving. So I just think it's about being able to adapt and also being able to put your oxygen mask on first, understanding that your self-health, self-love, and self-being is equally as important as anyone else's. So yes.
That's a really good point, because if you don't look after yourself, then you can't help anyone else anyway. So what would be next for Angela Henderson?
What would be next for Angela Henderson? I mean, really for me, it's about creating memories. Again, life is short. And so wherever I can, I will be creating memories with my kids, with myself, with my family. But in regards to the big things, there's a lot of speaking that's coming up internationally and locally, which is really exciting. My podcast has been going for 4 years. So again, we've continued to go on with the podcast, and really just here to continue to make that change and use the voice where I can to help women, slowly understand that they can take responsibility for their life and to make, changes even if they're 40, 50, or 60.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
That's it. And so we have a fun section now, and it's called Time Out.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to ask you some fun rapid fire travel questions.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so have you fallen in love with traveling? Firstly,
Yes, 100%. I love it.
What's the part that you love the most about
Oh my goodness.
traveling?
I mean, how exciting is it when you're like a kid in a candy shop and you're getting to the Uber and you're just like driving to the airport, and even though there's all the people, but you can just feel this energy when you see people getting excited and getting on the planes, or when they start seeing their family when they're at the exit, like there's something exhilarating about that. And just also, I mean, even if you're in kettle class, right, and you're squished like sardines, there's something magical about knowing there's magic on the other end. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. What's your favourite vacation song about summer and the beach?
Oh my goodness. I'd probably say one of the Beach Boys, but I can't remember off the top of my head what one it would be, but I just like... Yeah, probably, yeah, something like that, yes. But yeah, no, something like...
Pina colada o'clock.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, yes.
Absolutely. What movie has inspired a previous trip of yours? Have you watched a movie and gone, I'm going there?
Oh, good. Well, one that's on my bucket list would be Cool Runnings, the Canadian it was the Olympics with the bobsled team from Jamaica.
Yes.
No, I haven't, but Jamaica's on my to-do list. So I would say if there's anything that's inspired me to get my butt in gear would be Cool Runnings.
Okay, perfect. What's a funny or strange travel story of yours?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, so I remember we were traveling this one time back from the US, the kids and I was by myself, my husband at the time wasn't there, and we had just taken off, and you know whales, how they go like this and they just sprout? All of a sudden I see this front seat and this kid just pukes like this, like a whale, and just like a whale, and because we were literally just taking off, you can see the stewardess, and she's like, and this, and then this you see. And so anyways, this happened. So the poor kid sprouts like a whale 3 times. It was horrible. It wasn't like I can laugh now, but it was a horrific for all parties included.
And it would have stunk for a nice 24-hour
It was
flight.
14 hours, yes.
Oh no. Have you ever been on a safari?
No, I haven't, but that is on my to-do list. Yes. An African safari.
Cool too. What's your go-to remedy for jet lag?
Go-to remedy for jet lag? Listen, we just prefer just as soon as we land anywhere that we stay up till pretty much it's like dinner time. So to just try and stay in that routine.
Yes.
As hard as it is, that's what we like to do.
Yeah. Do you have any embarrassing travel stories? Have you ever flown anywhere and forgotten something really important or?
No, I haven't, but I mean, Finley will probably kill me, but whenever we go traveling, Finny makes me take he gets motion sickness. And so Finny and I, we've always got this joke, Finny, where we've got like this like little bag with us all times because we just never know. Okay. But I know, one of my clients also said she's like 23 and she said the same thing. She's like the motion sickness. So yeah, so our funny story would be is we always carry one of those, what do you call it?
Bum bag?
Yeah, not one of the bum bags, but like the vomit bags. We always have spares just in case, so you never know when you're going to need one.
Your vomit bag.
Yes.
What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done on your travels?
The most adventurous thing I've ever done. I mean, the Maldives is pretty great. When we were in the Maldives, I did like a nighttime swim, and you might not think that's adventurous, but like for someone who doesn't get in water and sharks, and then they're whale sharks, that was pretty adventurous to get into the water that night, not knowing what was going to surprise me.
And have you ever been snorkeling?
I have been snorkeling, yes. It makes me a bit nervous, like I'm like hyperventilating, but yes.
You can see everything underwater with goggles on?
Yes.
What's the best gift to give a traveller?
Best gift to give? I would say literally like a Visa gift card, because the thing is you never know when you're going to lose your money. You never know when you're going to find something magical that you want to buy. Yes. And again, I just think it's just fun knowing like where this money can take you.
Yes.
Or an experience also. I've bought in experiences for friends, like cooking classes and stuff. When they went to Italy, I'll buy them a cooking class so that they can create an experience and memories. So yes.
Oh, how fantastic is that? Everyone needs a friend like that. Give it up for Angela Henderson. Thank you so much for being on our show today. That was amazing. Oh, how wonderful. Our torch guest is the awe-inspiring Roshika Chand. Roshika has built a health and wellness brand and product line called Fashion Flaunt. All proceeds from Fashion Flaunt sales go towards a fantastic organisation, Chabdai, which fights against human trafficking and exploitation. Please put your hands together for the fabulous Roshika Chand.
Thank you. How are you? Bollywood colours.
Absolutely. Wow, doesn't she look fabulous?
Thank you.
My gosh. Fashion Flaunt. Please tell us how this started.
Oh, well, obviously the dream was there since childhood.
Yes.
And I always wanted to be a fashion designer, but it wasn't the career to follow. So I put that to sleep like a dormant volcano. And then I went to live in Japan.
Oh.
And the trajectory of my life changed when I was able to participate in some modeling, fashion writing, and I got these opportunities, and it activated what I really wanted to do in life, my purpose, my sense of what direction I was heading in. So I was able to start planning what I wanted to do with my life, and came back to Melbourne and then started planning Fashion Flaunt. So it's actually years of planning. Started in 2013.
Wow.
Started,
A while ago.
yes, and started with fashion designing actually. I did Fiji Fashion Week. I am from Fiji. So went there, did the show, was amazing. But then COVID happened, so fashion wasn't the main thing. So I went into beauty. That is also my experience as well. Beauty and well-being. And then I'll talk a bit more about why the well-being came into place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. And why did you choose Chabdai to be the organisation that you support?
Yeah, Chabdai. I joined my local church, the community. We work towards a purpose to, help the vulnerable community. It started off with me seeing a video of the children. I knew I always wanted to help children, but I didn't know what exactly. I was like, I'll visit an orphanage, I'll do something, but I hadn't gotten to it. As soon as I see the videos of the children, modern day slavery, and what they had to go through as young as 4-year-olds, maybe babies sometimes, that broke my heart. I said, I have to do something little. So we had to organise fundraisers, and I started doing chai. So brewing chai, talking about the cause and creating awareness, and then donating it to Chabdai. Now Chabdai is the church works locally with them, with the local leaders. So most of it is going to the victims and not to the organisation, and they're a great organisation.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So every time I make a donation, I get a personal email saying thank you for this. And then after I came onto this show, they contacted me to say, we want to feature your story. So I was like, oh, wow.
Fantastic.
It's success. Yeah, that was a success. So I can go global now,
Oh, congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Give her a round of applause.
Thank
Well
you.
done. That's fantastic. Now, you're someone who cares very deeply about making a positive impact. Where did this drive and sense of purpose come from for you?
Yeah, I would say when my dad would visit and take us to Fiji, we would go to poor families and visit them. Their houses were made out of mud. So we would give them money and food and groceries. But the little kids, I was like, oh my God, what future do they have? What can I do to help them? But they were so happy. That's what really blew me away. With the little that they had, they were so happy. And here we are complaining about little things.
Yes.
So that was in my heart. Again, in Japan is when I unloaded my vision. I wrote down everything I wanted to do. And it was all a big brainstorming vision. Then it came together slowly over the years.
Yeah, amazing. And so Fashion Flaunt is an incredible e-commerce platform. How did you build this business? What help did you have along the way?
Oh, look, you can't go without supportive friends and family that believe in you. Really cannot.
So important.
And you're thinking something, but then one of them says, you need to do it. And she's in the audience today. When I was thinking of giving up, she said, you can't give up. You're going to flourish. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you. Just what I needed to hear. So from then it continued. And women communicate well. We understand each other. So together we're powerful.
Yes.
So having that community of friendship, but then what else can we do that's bigger? Yeah.
Absolutely. And tell us about some of your best-selling products, Roshika.
So obviously the chai, because it's out there, it's easy. Men and women can both drink it. Children can drink it too as well. It's from Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful factory you can visit as well. So it's very ethical as well. That's really important, that ensuring our products are clean where they come from as well. So that's why it took me years of research. So I actually visited the factories as well. well, and made sure that there's no slavery, there's no poor working conditions. Now, I can't control everything, but I can do the best that I can to make sure that they are getting the best as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what do you hope to achieve from Fashion Flaunt in the long term?
Yeah, sure. So look, I want to build a brand. It's not fashion, it's actually philanthropy that I want to be working towards. The value will be that. Whether I branch into different things, it will always be that.
Yes.
Write a book, autobiography, because sometimes I'm like, I lived in Japan, I lived in islands, and people are like, wow, you need to write about this, but it's normal for me.
Yes.
And also reach out to more local communities that are not out there. So, orphanages and things, visit them myself and see, are these the organizations I can support? So that would just be flaunting globally.
Yes, I love that, flaunting globally.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on our show today. Give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. That was brilliant. And this segment was proudly sponsored by the Loan Suite. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. I just really cherish these rich and important discussions with each and every one of our guests. I hope you feel encouraged, empowered, and excited to go forth in your lives to create happiness and success. Thank you for taking the time to watch our show today, and a big thank you to all of our guests for sharing their stories and teaching us. Thank you also to Liz Clift International for dressing me, Kicks for giving me these awesome shoes to wear, Feminescence Magazine, Be Styled for Life, and each and every one of you for loving our show. I hope I was worthy of your time. Okay, girlfriends, until next time on The Girlfriend Hour.
Yay, well done. You're so beautiful. I've got your gift card. I gave it to your daughter. Okay? So next time you can wear it. You're most welcome.
Amazing. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you. So lovely to be here.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was fun.
It goes really quick, doesn't it?
Yeah. And again, if you ever need anything, just reach out. I send to Kylie, just let us know. And again, we're always happy to share your guys' stuff and promote you guys, so let us know if you need anything.
I'd love to be on your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got a few guest spots coming up, so I'll send it to who's the best to send it to?